Welcome to Golden Girl, a space where we dive deep into health, healing, connection, and community. I'm your host, Becca Golden, and this podcast is all about sharing and documenting my journey. Each episode, we'll discuss topics like health and wellness, what I'm learning in therapy, work-life balance, relationships, community, and all the ways I strive for more aliveness and presence every day. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of Golden Girl. I was not planning to record an episode today. Today is actually Thanksgiving, and I just got home from a Friendsgiving with a lot of people who were there, and I was about to go to bed, and then I just felt like I had a lot on my mind, and I was just sitting with it, and I didn't know how to get it out, and so that's what I'm going to do right now. This is a topic that's hard for me to talk about on the podcast and probably in general. I want to talk about loneliness. Today, when I woke up, I was feeling really lonely, and it's been really hard for me lately. I've been feeling lonely a lot of the time, and I have so many amazing people in my life who love me and who show up for me. So when I say that I'm feeling lonely, it feels not fair for me to feel that way. It feels like my fault for feeling lonely because I isolate myself a lot. And I'm craving connection. I'm craving like a deep kind of connection with somebody. And I also just really want to be held. I've been needing snuggles or to be held. I've been needing that so much. And I can tell that my nervous system is craving it. And it's a really scary feeling when you go a long amount of time without having that. And it's hard for me to talk about this out loud because it's embarrassing in a way. And I feel like in a way it's my own fault. And so I blame myself for this loneliness because I hear in my head this voice that's like, well, why aren't you going out and being around people? Like, you've been invited to all these places. Why aren't you going? And I don't know. I think it's because when I go, sometimes I just feel so exhausted by it because of where I'm at in my healing process. And so it's been really challenging. And I'm just here to talk about how it's been challenging and how it's been affecting me because I think it's important, especially on a day like Thanksgiving, where there's so many people who might be alone today and they might not have been invited anywhere. Like I have been invited to these places, and for that, I feel so super lucky. But I don't have the energy or emotional capacity to actually function at them when I go sometimes. I've been going to these social things, and I feel like I'm forcing myself to enjoy it, and I don't. And then I get home, and I'm lonely, and I'm like, well, of course you're lonely because you're not interacting with people enough. So it feels really conflicting. And I'm not proud of this. Like, it's this weird conundrum of like being around people feels exhausting and overwhelming to me right now, but not being around people is isolating and sad. And I don't want to feel alone. I don't want to feel sad. But today I was crying on my floor because I was so lonely and I just wanted to like feel human connection. The other side of this is that the more dysregulated my nervous system is, the worse my symptoms get. There's this thing that I have called mast cell activation syndrome, also known as MCAS. And when you have MCAS, at least for me, my flares are directly correlated with my nervous system. So that means that if I'm feeling particularly dysregulated, so if I'm super stressed or if I just have had like a lot of histamine foods or whatever the case, basically if my body is feeling like it's in a state of fight or flight, then I'm going to start having MCAS symptoms. And that can be anxiety, insomnia, rashes, the lipedema blowing up, swelling, allergic reactions, food intolerances, headaches, fatigue, like a million things that can happen as a result of this. And that's all just from your nervous system being dysregulated. So this morning, I woke up and I was feeling really lonely and isolated and alone. And I was really craving human connection. I just really wanted to be held and snuggled. And there was no one here to do that, but I needed it. My nervous system felt so afraid. And so I turned on this tapping meditation. There's this thing, it's called EFT. You basically like tap on certain points of your body, and it helps your body, like, it helps your nervous system recalibrate or something. It's calming to your nervous system. And so basically there was this one that I did on this app, and it was specifically for loneliness. And so I put that on, and you basically say out loud the state that your body is in while you're tapping. And the tapping is basically telling your nervous system that you're safe. And you say things like, I know that I feel so lonely right now. And you say that, but it helps tell your body that you can feel those things without being in danger. So the app is called Tapping Solution. This app helped me so much when I was in the beginning stages of my healing, and I was constantly doing these tapping meditations to just reel me in and to get my nervous system back in check, because I would be freaking out. Like I was in fight or flight all the time. So this morning I was just feeling so helpless and alone and lonely and isolated. And it's like, who am I supposed to call right now to come cuddle me on Thanksgiving Day? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what do you do? If you have nobody to cuddle you, what are you supposed to do about that? You're supposed to find somebody to cuddle you, I imagine. Or, and here's where I had the epiphany, you figure out how to feel safe in your own body so that you don't need another body to make you feel safe. That was the epiphany that I had. And that was hard to process that. Like, that doesn't feel good to come to that conclusion and realize, oh, I am seeking the comfort of another human body to hold me so that I feel less in danger. Because if you're held, you're safe. And if you're not held, does that mean you're not safe? And that would mean that maybe I don't feel safe in my body right now. And then maybe if I don't feel safe in my body, that could explain a lot of my MCAS symptoms. And then if I'm having all these MCAS symptoms as a result of a dysregulated nervous system, then of course I can't go to social stuff. And of course social things are overwhelming for me because my nervous system thinks that I'm in danger and I'm like surrounded by danger. So I'm still blaming myself for being lonely. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's my fault. I go out to do social things as much as I possibly can. And sometimes I really push my limits with it. And then that ends up doing more damage to me and my healing. My initial instinct when I feel lonely is that in my head, I hear myself blaming myself. It's like, oh, I feel lonely. Yeah, well, that's your fault. That's rude. That's rude. I don't want to talk to myself in that way anymore. So when I hear in my head, I feel lonely, I want the voice in my head to say, that must be really hard. I want the voice in my head to say, loneliness is a really scary feeling. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Instead of judging myself and blaming myself. And I have to practice that a lot with every feeling that I have, especially the ones that are not fun. The unpleasant feelings, the uncomfortable ones, the ones that feel icky. The icky feelings are the ones that are the hardest to have compassion for. The ones that you're not proud of. The feelings like loneliness. I'm not proud of it, but I'm feeling it. And so just being gentle with yourself and asking, what can I do to be more compassionate with this feeling that I have? What can I do to avoid judging myself for having this feeling? How can I have more understanding with myself for the way that I feel? And that really helps make everything better. So I hope you have a lot of compassion for yourself and for your human experience, because it's all normal. What I think I'm going to do from here, based on this epiphany that I've had, besides find somebody to snuggle me, because that will help me with my symptoms, but I don't want to rely on that. I want to be able to feel safe in my body regardless of if someone is holding me. So I'm going to sign up for one of these brain retraining programs. I don't know much about them, but I know that a lot of people who have chronic illness can get value out of attending these programs, and they, in some capacity, help retrain your thoughts, your body, your nervous system, so that you don't feel constantly like you're in a state of danger. So I'm going to look into taking one of these training program things so that hopefully I can learn how to feel even safer in my body. Because if the tapping meditations help me so much, then that just shows me that I'm on the right track with taking steps to heal my nervous system. And There's nothing wrong with being snuggled. There's nothing wrong with being held. And I think feeling safety in those experiences is a good thing, but I don't want to have to rely on it. I don't want to be crying on my floor when I don't have somebody snuggling me. That is a sign that something's not right. That shows me that there's opportunity for me to help myself more and be really caring about it and tell myself that it's okay to feel lonely sometimes, that I can feel safe in my body again and do lots of tapping and eventually feel better. But I know I'm not alone. I know that I'm extremely lucky to have so many people in my life and have such strong community here. It's also okay to feel lonely sometimes, and it doesn't mean anything's wrong with you, and it doesn't mean that anything's your fault. It's okay. It's natural and it's normal. And maybe even it's okay to need alone time when you're feeling lonely. Maybe. I don't know. But it certainly feels like it right now for me. It's very confusing. But thank you for listening. I don't have the answers. I just know that you're supposed to be compassionate with yourself along the way. So that's what we're doing. It's okay. It feels a little scary, but it feels like it's going to be okay. So it will be. Thank you for listening and see you next time.